right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Thriving in the Gray. This is our zone. This is our space for connecting with others and supporting each other on our transformative healing journey. This afternoon, I'm bringing forward my friend and colleague in the community, Nick Clark. He is from Spotted Dog Yoga out in Folsom, California. And they actually were who I chose to get certified through in yoga instruction. They've been an integral part of my yoga journey and my transformation. As many of you know, I was in a horrible accident in 2013. I was the victim of a bus versus pedestrian accident in a crosswalk. And the limitations from that really put me on a journey to discover what I could enjoy and participate in a different way. And wanting to be able to participate in yoga was a dream of mine. And when I met Nick and his wife Katie, who is the other partner in crime here at Spotted Dog Yoga, they were really able to work with me and my limitations and help me fold yoga into my healing journey and an active part of my everyday lifestyle. So I'm super excited and grateful, Nick, to have you here with me today. I'd love to kick it off by just tell me a little bit about Spotted Dog Yoga and how this vision came into fruition for you guys.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me on the show, Audrey. It's so nice to see you again and to reconnect with you and to see all the amazing things that you're doing in your business to make a difference for people in their lives. That's really what inspires me. And you inspire me. And so thank you so much for having me on the show. Spotted Dog Yoga. Well, Katie and I, my wife, my better half, like you mentioned, she and I have a dog named Bandit. We rescued Bandit about a year after we had started dating, and Bandit really brought us closer together as human beings. It was like having a baby. I remember my dad when I called him and told him we were adopting a dog, a rescue dog. He said, "You know that getting a dog is more of a commitment than a diamond ring." And he was right about that. And it brought us closer and closer together. And ultimately, when we were engaged and married, but before were married, we wanted to open up a yoga studio. And we had been teaching yoga in the Sacramento area for a few years, but just wanted to do something that was unique and different and something that represented who we are as people and what we wanted to take to the world. And so we went to San Diego and looked at a bunch of different studios, and there was a studio down there that we loved. It was called Black Sheep Yoga. And we loved the whole idea of it just being like a black sheep, being a little bit different than most yoga studios. And so we wanted to take that and turn it into something unique for ourselves. And Katie's idea was to name it after Bandit, our dog, and to call it Spotted Dog Yoga. And so that's how Spotted Dog Yoga was created. And what Bandit has taught us is that if you go out into the world and you play hard, you're purposeful in what you're doing, you're intentional in what you're doing, you really go out and do the things that you love with the people that you love, that you will ultimately love big. You'll connect, you'll have gratitude for the things you have and the people in your life. And it's a direct reflection of who you are as a person. When you play hard, you'll love big. And so that's what Spotted Dog Yoga is. It's a yoga studio, and the theme behind it and the way we live there is around play hard and love big. And we've been in business now for 11 years, and it's been an awesome journey.
I love that because you speak to the commitment to it, right? The playing hard, and working hard at something, committing to it, and really watching it continue to evolve and grow, which is there's a family connectiveness though. It feels so good when you walk in a Spotted Dog. You're embraced. It's a community that's very, very welcoming. And I remember feeling a little shy walking in my first time because, my initial mindset was, yoga is for like professionals. You've got to be a super athlete to be able to do yoga. And although I had competed in gymnastics as a child, I didn't think that I was, something that could fit into that mold. And so you guys were very welcoming right from the get out. um, introducing me to the studio and to the different instructors and making it feel easy, not complicated, not having to overthink it.
Yeah, that's super
Yeah.
important. I mean, for anyone beginning any kind of new exercise modality, or for anyone that's just going out in the world to and wanting to try something different, it can be a bit uncomfortable. I when my wife and I in 2021 we moved out of Folsom and we have lived in a little town called Eagle, Idaho since then. And so we run our business remotely and we visit Spotted Dog Yoga once a month to go down and work with teachers and build community. But when we moved up here, Katie's whole family's up here, which is why we moved up here. When we moved up here, her cousins said, "Hey, you want to go do some mountain biking?" And, I grew up mountain biking, but I hadn't done it in 15, 20 years. And so I had this little Walmart bike that somebody had given me to chase my kid around on the trails in Folsom. And so I thought, okay, I'll try it out. So I get up there and I was so nervous. I was so like unsure. I didn't even know what the bike pump looked like. I mean, I knew what a ball pump looked like, but not a bike pump. Like all these little things that I was like, they were being thrown at me into this bike world that I was unaware of, like existed and all these different things. And so I felt uncomfortable. But the thing that made me feel comfortable were the people that were there, her cousins' friends. They grabbed me. They're like, just follow us. We'll take care of you. You have any questions? Let us know. We got you. And I think that's an example of what you're saying is similar to what you experienced at Spotted Dog Yoga. And what we really pride ourselves on is creating a space where everyone is welcome and everyone is seen for where they are right now. Our biggest transformations as people only come from where we are right now. The things that happen from, before this time frame, we can't change. They're a part of us in some way, and the things that are coming after this, we can't predict, and they may happen no matter what. But all we can really focus on is being right here and present. And so it's neat that you had that experience, and a lot of people had that experience because that's what we pride ourselves on is building community and relationships so that people feel like they have someone to hold them accountable so that they can achieve their goals long term. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and that truly was the way it felt for me. It was very embracing, and I say a lot with individuals that I work with that it's really about environment and your support system, right? You start with that, and yes, like being present and getting some clarity around where you're at, and then dropping down into that. I remember also through the training program, there is a little bit of a competitive edge in me still, right? So you're looking over and you're like, oh yeah, I want to do it like that. Oh yeah, I need, I need to get my tree to look like that. I need to get my, what's this frog maneuver? Oh my goodness. I get it, and so that too, learning how to get out of your mindset of competitiveness, either with yourself or with others that are in the room with you, and just learning to practice greater acceptance and self-compassion, right? Like I remember it was so hard for me to move with my right hip and leg to get that right hip and leg into the right position for Warrior One. And you were able to work with me on that, on modifying my movement so that I'm working with my body and I'm really hearing better the messaging that my body is sending me as I'm trying to do that. Um, so that is really, really pivotal too. I think for people that have certain limitations or physical injuries, it doesn't mean that you can't do yoga. It just means that you bring to it an awareness, um, and work with your body where it's at in that moment. So that was really, really great. You guys do a couple of things in your program too. You really talk about True North alignment. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that's so important with your students?
Yeah, totally. Well, one thing I'll say first in relationship to what you just said, I've had so many people over the last 15 years of being in yoga come to me and and they say, I don't think I can do yoga because I'm not flexible. And you know what? Over the years, I've developed an understanding of how to respond to that differently. But what I think is important for people to understand is the place where you have to be the most flexible is, like you're speaking to, is in your awareness of yourself and in your mind. Because a yoga mat is really a mirror for you for your whole life. How you talk to yourself on your yoga mat is how you talk to yourself in your life. If you get on your yoga mat and your perspective is, I can't do this, these moves are too hard for me, I don't look like the person over here, or I don't look like the person over here, what am I doing here? Those, that dialogue, that internal dialogue is present for you everywhere and everything that you do. And so the first hurdle for a lot of people is being able to just get present, focus on their breathing, focus their body, and get on the mat in a physical way. And once you get on a mat in a physical way, you're able to clear away those limiting beliefs, and then you can start to do more than you ever thought you could possibly do. And so, what we do in a physical way with True North alignment principles is we help people with specific cueing build proper alignment from their feet all the way to the crown of their head. And they're called the True North alignment principles, and there's 16 of them. They begin at your feet, and with the idea that everything that is happening in your body, a lot of the ailments that you have are from a misalignment in your body that have started from your feet. And so if you build your foundation even from a standing pose, or as we are here sitting from your feet, you create a new energy and alignment all the way up your body that allows you to not only show up more present and focused, it also helps you become more confident. It helps you become less afraid.
Mhm.
And it gives people through a very physical way, it helps people create the life that they want to create because they're no longer limited by their beliefs. It really changes their physical, spiritual, and emotional outlook on the world. So, like one example, the very first cue of the True North Alignment principles is both feet on 12 o'clock, which means to point your toes straight forward, right? So, for all of you listening and for Audrey, like where you are now, like just check and see where your feet are. Are your feet pointing straight forward, or are they pointed out kind of like a duck or in kind of like a pigeon? If you just make the simplest shift of pointing your feet on 12 o'clock forward, then you'll notice that your ankles and your knees start to align. So you're already creating alignment. And then, of course, all 16 of those principles go all the way up through the crown of your head. So you're sitting up nice and tall and presenting yourself to the world in a more energetic way.
Yes. And it's amazing how the first time that we did the True North alignment exercise, it was an exercise for me, for sure.
Yeah.
But it is interesting what comes into your awareness. I mean, like I said before, I was a competitive gymnast as a child. And the way we did competitive gymnastics in the early 80s is very different from a lot of what you might see today. I mean, we had a particular posture and a pose when we would walk out on the mat and go and, you know, get up on the balance beam. And so just doing that true north alignment, yeah, my feet were more out at, 11 and 1 o'clock and not at 12 o'clock. And so bringing that awareness in started to make some big shifts in my body. And then it really opened me up to what I could do on the mat too,
Mhm.
step by step. So,
Well, what's interesting too is like that. Well, True North alignment principles are something that are objective too. What, like when we were talking earlier, you were talking about how like some people, when you came in, you thought, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Right. But if you're like from a standing position or a sitting position, you can do all these True North alignment principles. You can put them into your body, and it doesn't matter what the pose looks like. It's just you're putting them into the body in whatever the shape of the pose that your body is able to do, you know? And I mean, a lot of people forget this, and I know your people probably don't, but all the experiences that we've had in our life up to this point, like, they are held in our body energetically. So like my uncle was killed in a drinking and driving accident. I don't know if we talked about that before, but when I was a sophomore in college, and two people were in the car with him, and he was driving, and I saw him that day. It was a very traumatic experience for me, and for years I had a hard time processing it. And what I realized is where I was holding that tension was in my hips. Like any time that I would do any deep stretches in my hips, that would come up for me. Like this anger, this sadness, this frustration around that specific event in my life was being held in my hips. And we hold things in our hips, our chest, our shoulders, So, like, if you notice your shoulders are hunched over like this, typically that's because, that's your body's mechanism to like protect your heart. Literally, like you've had some experience that has closed you off in a way where it's protecting your heart. And so, alignment principles like the one we're talking about help you reopen, help you create space to breathe again,
Yeah.
to create vitality again, to approach the world again without fear. But our bodies naturally collapse based off of holding on to these experiences. And we all have these experiences. So, which is why it's, I think, really important that you practice alignment all the time because day to day, we have experiences that otherwise get held in our body and hold us back.
Yeah. And I love what you said a little bit earlier too. You touched on how, when you're able to drop down and you're just being present in the moment and you're kind of meeting your body where you're at, you're kind of aligning everything, everything's coming into alignment. You're really touching ground with your truer, more authentic self. You're more, the truer version of you. And what I noticed for me was when I was able to get to that place, you walk up off the mat, you feel lighter, you feel more confident, you just feel a little freer. There's this, this weight that kind of gets lifted off of you. You're not carrying things with you unnecessarily. Um, and so I love that was just so profound for me in my time with you and Katie through the Awaken program that I did with you was that realization that it really does come deep within me, and there is a way to be free of all those things that are weighting us down and feel burdensome. Being able to make it through, that and there's so many other elements that you guys talk about too. You talk about drishti, your gaze, your breath, all of the things that you work into your yoga practice on the
Oh,
mat
yeah. Well,
and off the mat.
your journey is remarkable. I didn't mind that. And again, I'm not quite sure. I think in general, people have to be reminded about people's journeys. But for those of you listening who are just getting to know Audrey, or maybe you forgot about her journey, your journey is amazing. And what I'm inspired by with you is how you put your attention on what you wanted to have happen, and you were for it, and you are for it every step of the way. You showed up for the trainings. You showed up to practice. When those emotions came up or the frustrations came up or whatever it is that came up, you talked about it. You shared about it. You were with it. You felt it. But you just kept showing up, kept showing up. And when you just keep showing up and you don't let the emotions get the best of you, you don't let your fears get the best of you, and you just keep showing up like you've done, amazing life altering shifts happen. And that's available for everyone. And you, I think that this is just the neatest story. I love talking to you and hearing about where you are and what you're doing because and I'm grateful that we got to be a part of that journey. But it's you, girl. You're the one that's created it.
Yeah.
We're there to pass on the information that we know has worked for us, but really it takes you being in action to make this happen.
Yeah, no, and thank you for saying that. And I think that's why this is so important for me to share out because, it's true what they say, right? Unless you make a shift and a change, the same thing is going to keep happening. You've got to be the one to break the cycle for yourself. And if you're stuck in a place where you're unhappy or you're feeling unhealthy and what you've been utilizing before is not working, then it's time to try something different. But things don't always come easily either. You have to make a true commitment to yourself and put the time in. And again, it is really about the environment and the support system, right? Like you and Katie and your entire crew were there to support me through that. You were not gonna, you were not gonna let me fall. You were not gonna let me fail. You were not gonna let me, give up. And so that's really what makes it. And I am forever grateful for you guys. And all the other ways that you can apply yoga too, right? So I'd love to have the opportunity to sort of talk um about those aspects of spotted dog too, how you introduce that to other areas of life. I mean, you and I and a group of people got out on a paddle board, okay?
Yeah.
Out on a paddle board and at sunset, mind you, and we tied up our paddle boards all together and we did yoga on a paddleboard at sunset. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna fall in the lake. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna fall in the lake, right? It's probably gonna be a hot mess. I don't know. I'm probably not gonna be able to do even a downward dog on my paddleboard. Let's see, this is crazy. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I didn't fall. And we had an amazing time, and it was the most gorgeous sunset ever. And we were all doing it together. So
And it was the same night that I lost my keys, isn't it?
yes, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
so
Actually, yeah, our instructor fell off his paddleboard before we even started
yeah,
class.
I learned a lot from that night actually, just a mirror. Again, here's the thing, right, is that life is just a mirror
Yeah.
and experiences are just a mirror. Talked about how your yoga mat is, but life is too. And I remember that night I was so excited to be out there, but we had a couple late cancellations. And so I had to run the boards back up to the van and I was rushing and I didn't take my waterproof fanny pack and clip it. And so it was wide open and I was rushing out to meet the group and I fell over the top of my paddle, which has never happened before. And I lost my keys to the bottom of the lake. That's right. But for me, a metaphor being that, like, hey, slow down, take a few breaths, everything's going to be all right. If you don't, typically in my life, when I don't slow down is when I end up creating some kind of havoc that I have to go back and clean up again. And so that was a good reminder. And of course, it was also a nice reminder of how wonderful my friends can be. Just you stood out there and waited forever for the locksmith to come. But side note, squirrel note, we did in the yoga that we teach, we talk about this thing that's called the three themes. And I think it's valuable for everyone, the listeners on this show. I think it's very valuable for you, but they are this. The first one, be a yes. And as a creation, not as a concept, put your attention on what you want to have happen and be for it. Okay, so that's be a yes. And then the
Yes, say that one
second
more
one,
time. That is
sure.
so, I want everyone to hear this, just like you said it.
Yeah, be a yes as a creation, not as a concept. Put your attention on what you want to have happen and be for it.
Yes, put your attention on what you want to have happen and be for it. Exactly.
Right. And as a creation, right? So it's not as a concept, like, oh, I want to do this or I'm going to do this or I'm going to, no, it's like if you want to do it, just do it. But as a creation, not as a concept. Put your attention on what you want to have happen. And so be a yes. And then number two is let go of what you must. And that the complete sentence that goes with that we teach people is let go of the fixed drishtis, your perceptions that thwart and constrain you. So let go of the fixed drishtis, that those perceptions that thwart and constrain you, right? So first you're being a yes, then you're letting go of what you must, and then third, come from you are ready now. Move, breathe, and have your being from right now is all you've got. Okay, so when Katie and I built our studio, we worked from those three principles. Be a yes, let go of what you must, come from you are ready now. And just trusted that if we put into action what we needed to, if we let go of what we needed to get it out of our way, and then if we just did it and stayed present, that things would come to fruition. And they did. Well, a couple of years in, we thought, how can we get more people to do more yoga in this area, bring more awareness to spotted dog, and also supplement our business in the summertime when it gets hot outside and people are doing adventures, or they're out, they're not necessarily in the yoga studio as much. And that's where we came up with the idea of sup yoga. So we created our sup yoga program. This is the 8th year of it. And it's really my one of my favorite things to do. Like Audrey alluded to, like you alluded to, we go out onto the lake, and I have these anchors that are connected to lines that have buoys on them, and I put them out for the participants. They all have little hooks on them where you can hook your board in. Then we do a little orientation on land. They zip out, they hook their boards onto it, and then for an hour we hang out, we do yoga.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had the same kind of fears and thoughts that you had when you first came, that they're going to fall in, like, don't think I'm going to be able to do downward facing dog. And then ultimately what happens is they had the same experience you had too. Like, wow, I'm able to do way more now than I thought was even possible. Right. And when you do that on anywhere, when you go do something and you're blow yourself away and you're blown away by what you can do, that one experience, then everywhere in your life, at least for my experience, everywhere in my life, I've started to see more possibilities in everything that I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
I don't start to see the world, I start to see the world differently. My view changes, the color of my lens changes. Like everything has more possibility to it, which is why I think people need adventure. Is why
Right.
people, I think, need to try new things and see what sticks. Because if you do that, just the mere experience of trying something is going to open up your world to a whole new way of seeing and being. So that's how Sup Yoga started, and that's why we're still really passionate and love it.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to get back out there on the board this summer. So,
Heck yeah! Well, we start in May. I'm doing it's called Epic Flow. It's a
ah,
one day retreat on Lake Natoma. It's like a 5 hour retreat. We're gonna do yoga, meditate, connect with community, do some like self inquiry stuff. That's when it starts, is in May. It's coming up
I
quick.
can't wait. I'll be there. You know, I'll be there.
I
You know.
know it, and hopefully you don't have to help me find my keys or
Yeah.
wait for a locksmith.
I'll bring you a special little clip bag for your you'll
Hey,
never lose your keys again. Yeah, no, we had so much fun doing that. And this is what I love about this conversation too, is it brings in a lot of the elements that I'm already working on with people. It's really about that intention piece that you talk about. It's about getting out of your comfort zone,
Unknown caller.
tr trying something different. I have no idea what that was. Did you hear that? Okay.
hmm,
We'll ignore it. Someone's coming in on the live feed, but having that opportunity to get support where you want to, stepping outside of your comfort zone and seeing the possibilities that open up for you when you realize what you can do.
hmm.
And that's what happened on that day. On that, I was so afraid paddling over there to go meet up with the other members, and I thought, oh, how am I going to sit down on this board and get back up and do all these things? I'm going to fall over. But I didn't fall in that day, did I?
Mm-mm.
And why was that? My intention and my focus was right there, and I worked on my breathing and just moving slow and being very, very mindful. And I never fell in. And I was like, wow, everything that Nick and Katie said was true. See, it's got to put it into practice.
Gotta put it into practice. Yeah,
So for everybody in the area, I will help spread the word when you put out the dates for May, and we'll get everybody out on the water
that'd
uh,
be super fun.
in this
Yeah.
area. That'll be a lot of fun. But tell me a little bit more about how a lot of the demographic that I work with are individuals that are struggling with chronic pain, and they have different disabilities. A lot of it comes, body aches, fatigue, it's hard to move and do things. How can implementing some yoga practice in their life help them with those physical symptoms, as well as what we already know about the limiting beliefs and the presence, being present for the here and now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yoga is amazing for your body. Um, no matter what level it is that you're doing it at, just the fact that you're moving and working on moving in relationship with your breathing. Your breath is so great for you. The practice that we teach at Spotted Dog is called Ujjayi breath, and it's a breath where you're breathing in and out of your nose. And in my humble opinion, if you're just breathing consciously, you're doing some form of yoga, so I would start with that. And for a lot of people, is just from where you are right now, notice what's going on with your breathing. And by noticing what's going on with your breathing, you can make a shift in it. There's nothing wrong with the way you're breathing. The way that you're breathing is great, but by being more conscious with your breath, you can really shift your body. And so um, we teach a breath that's in and out of your nose. And when you breathe in and out of your nose, what it does is it relaxes your parasympathetic nervous system, which is like all those thoughts and different things like that, which we've talked about. But like in a physical realm, it really does allow you to move with more ease. It will help you release some tension. It will also reduce pain in your body because you don't have as much focus on the pain. You have more focus on something that's actually working well, like your breathing, your lungs. And that creates a lot of vitality and space to move. So your breathing is super important. Also, just using your eyes intentionally is also very important. That'll help you get out of your head and help you embrace where you are as a person and on your mat in your body. Okay, so remember that breath and focal point with your eyes first. And then when you jump on your mat and you're moving your body, do what you can do, like Audrey said. And as you do what you do, if you just slowly work on creating alignment in little tiny ways, shapes, and forms, whether it be for a 15-minute time frame at home, or a 30-minute time frame at home, or an hour-long time frame at the studio, no matter how long it is that you move your body, what you're doing is you're stimulating your organs. You're getting your organs awake, your digestive system awake, you're increasing the vitality and the energy that's going into your muscles, your lymphatic system. Like all the different aspects of your body are being affected by the movements that you're creating with in conjunction with your breath. When I finish a yoga class, I feel unbelievable. A lot of it because I'm just, ditching. It helps me clear out the stressors. But like if you're talking just pure physicalness, my body feels like it's aligned, feels like it's firm, feels like it's mobile. It's going to create more mobility. Feel like I'm strong. Like it creates a lot of strength. It really has allowed me to understand how I can move my body weight intentionally in a way that feels good for me. And so when I practice, every practice is a little bit different. Some days my lower back is stiff because I've been picking up that baby too much, or like, or I've been playing basketball, or I just slept weird, and I have pain, but I just still continue to get on my mat and I move because I know even just the littlest movements are going to free up some energy, or going to break some of those muscles down, or that myofascia that builds up in our body. It like slowly will start to loosen and give me more space. Um, and so it always makes me feel better in my body, and I think that that's because of just all the elements of muscular movement and creation, with muscular alignment, with your anatomical alignment, with your
Yeah.
breathing. Like your whole entire body and being is moving and working on moving in unison, which gets you present. And then it helps reduce pain because you're getting present and aligned, but really because you're focusing on something different than pain. If you sit somewhere and you just focus on pain, even though like it's there and it's real, like you sit there and focus on it, it becomes more. What you put your attention on is what grows. So you put your attention on your breath and your body and your movements and whatnot, then you're in a way giving yourself some ability and to create some relief that way too.
Yep. What did we always say? Where your intention goes, energy flows.
That's right.
So, absolutely. Yeah. And I love the other key thing, and I think we talked about this a lot in our training program together was you know, overthinking things can happen really easily. Like, oh, I want to start taking yoga. Oh, now I gotta plan a week out of my day. I gotta go to the yoga studio. I gotta remember the yoga gear. I gotta then I got to shower, and oh, I got to eat. It's like we make it so much harder than it has to be. And when I just got into the practice of like, I've got 15 minutes right now, or I'll start my day with just 15 minutes. I can roll out of bed, get right onto my yoga mat and do some basic stretches and some yoga moves with some breath work just for 15 minutes. And it's enough to set your day and get you on the right path. And you can build up from there. Maybe you'll have days where you're gonna do sun salutation A and B, and we're gonna do all the moves. We're gonna do them all, right? And then other days you're gonna be like, no, my back is really hurting. And so today maybe I'm just gonna be working on a couple of moves with some breath work, right? So the adaptability, I mean, I don't know where we get in this mindset of like yoga is just for the gurus. It's just for the athletes. It's really for anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
And 15 minutes can make a huge shift, right?
It really can. I mean, look, we own a business and have done yoga for 15 years, but we have three kids and we run a lot of the logistical aspects of the business, and so for me, sometimes I just am like in this mindset, this attitude where I just don't want to do it. Like, oh, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm like throwing a pity party for myself, or whatever. And it's like, but I have my yoga mat rolled out in the living room all the time. And sometimes I'm just like, I just drop on there and I do a couple downward facing dogs, do a couple little stretches, and I'm like, okay, I feel better.
Yeah.
I did something. You have to do some kind of action, and it doesn't have to look a certain way. You're right. I don't know. Like people create these facades in our mind of what they think it should be like or what it should look like. And also, like media does that too. Like if you look at Yoga Journal magazine and think that that's what your yoga poses should look like, then there's a misconception because none of us look like that. It's a very, very small group of people that look like that. What most of the people in the yoga world are in it for is a better feeling body and an understanding of how we can be better people. And
Yes.
that's hard to put in a picture, but it's not like with those pictures you see on the covers of those magazines. It's different.
Yes. 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 No, we're not all going to be, bending our leg over our head and kissing our big toe. It looks cool. I wish I could still do that, but yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's for any age, right? Like I even have, my own mother is actually doing more chair yoga
Awesome.
and stuff now, trying to, work with her mobility and alignment stuff that way. So it really is for anybody. So thank you for reinforcing that. We go back and remind everybody it's for anybody.
It's for anybody. You know it. As we always say, like, um, well, yeah, it's for anybody. You just have to say it's for anybody.
Yes.
Anybody,
Yes.
anybody. You can do
Yes.
it if you want it. You do what Audrey did. You put your attention on, you make it happen. Sometimes people really get hooked into it, like from our retreats, are
Yes.
really cool.
Talk about that a little bit too, because I'm excited about what you guys are doing with your retreats and how that's evolving and growing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I mean I mention it because like it's sometimes people are introduced when they're introduced to things in a different way, they start to understand, oh, okay, this isn't so I don't have to be this certain way. And that's really what part of our intention was in building our retreat business is to create a space where people can get out of the normal life, turn a little bit of that off and come be with a group of people to build community, but also to try new things in a safe place and to experience life and renew and reconnect. And so we did our first retreat in Idaho, and then the second one we did in Sedona, and then the third one we did back in Idaho, but it was in the northeastern part of the state and by the Grand Tetons, which was really cool. And then this year we're going to this retreat center. It's right outside of Vail, Colorado. It's called Meredith, Colorado. It's called the Bay Ewell Retreat Center, and it's gorgeous. I mean, I was born in Colorado, so like anytime I go into that state and I'm around aspen trees and
Yeah.
like water and just in nature, I just feel way more connected just being in there. It's like when you walk into yoga, spotted dog yoga, you feel good and at home. That's how I feel. And so I've always wanted to do one back in Colorado, but we'll do a combination of yoga, meditation, hiking, stand-up paddleboard yoga, stand-up paddleboarding. And all those are optional too. Like some people come and they do a few things and then they go off and they do their own little hike with, some friends, or they meet some friends and they go on and do a paddleboarding thing with them and they have some free time too. And then we just gather for breakfasts and dinners and connect and create community and do some fun stuff as a community to help people evolve. And that's really what the basics are. But yeah, we're going to Colorado in June, which will be sweet. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm making my way to Chicago for my brother's wedding, and then I've got some other, so I won't be able to join you guys in Colorado this year. I'm super bummed about that, but I know it's going to be an amazing time. So we'll make sure we'll get, if you guys are still accepting registrations for that, let me know. We'll make sure that we'll drop that down. For people to take a look at and check out too. So I think that what I love about the retreats is that it really does bring collected minds together. And for some people, it does. It takes you out of that environment that you need to get out of in order to open up your mind's eye to what else is out there, right? And so I think that I can't wait to hear all about your Colorado retreat.
Yeah, thank you. It's funny. What we say is don't retreat to escape, retreat to live,
Yeah.
you know? And that's really, yeah, stoked about it. Thank you. And I'm sorry
Yeah,
you can't make this one, but we do them every year. So at some point down the road, you'd get a chance to do it. I'd love to have you on it for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Always
Yeah.
down for a spotted dog adventure.
Oh my goodness. Um, Audrey, for you, what's next for you in your life, your growth, and what do you want your listeners to get out of this show the most?
Well, I mean, the reason I was really excited about doing this with you is just because, my niche has all become about helping others with chronic pain after my own personal journey with it, but also as a registered nurse, right? And I understand and I see very clearly what's happening with our healthcare system and how resources are extremely limited and it can be very difficult to find the help that you need. And so there's a lot of individuals that are seeking to grow personally and outside of the healthcare system, looking for things that are holistic, how they can better heal themselves. So, really educating them on what's available and out there. I mean, I had my medical massage practice. Um, I started that in 2003 before ever becoming a nurse. And that was something that led me to go into nursing because what I was doing and the work that I was doing with individuals through medical massage, helping them rehab injuries, whether it was pre and post surgical or it's just part of their healthy lifestyle maintenance, um, it was effective and very effective. And I wanted to expand on that scope. So we've come back around, as you know, Perfectly Imperfect Living was born. And the goal in Thriving in the Gray was born, this platform here to bring together like minded people to share their professional experiences and help educate the public so that they can know, right? I mean, most Western doctors have you know, no idea how to suggest to their patients that they should try yoga, right? It's not going to be something that he's going to write a prescription for. Um, so it comes from us. It comes from us talking and sharing and connecting in community with people, and helping to educate them on the resources that are out there and ways that they can try to implement it in their own lives so that they can reduce their pain and just have a better quality of life overall, right? So that's my goal. So we have the live Facebook group. There's a Facebook group called Thriving in the Gray. We just kept the name synonymous, and we drop in all kinds of great information in there on nutrition, how to detox, how to do things the safe way. If you're trying to cleanse and you want to do a parasite cleanse, what does that look like? So I coach people through all of those different steps. We do some yoga, we do some meditation, we do some breath work. Um, and it's really about taking back control of one's own life and health and the direction that it's going in, achieving what you want. Much like you said, if you bring your intention to it, then you can make it so, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat. I love what you're doing. Yeah, and it's good that you're incorporating yoga. If you want to learn some yoga, hit up Audrey. She can teach you yoga now too. Not like that's a great thing about our trainings, right? It was so great for you physically, mentally, but then also you have this tool set that you can bless people with, which is really neat.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can't tell you how liberating it was for me to get rid of that, you know, misconception, that thought that, well, you were hit by a bus. You're Humpty Dumpty put back together again, right? Six surgeries and injuries that I'm gonna have to learn to just live with and maintain. But it doesn't take things off the table. It just means that you learn really good acceptance and self-compassion, that you open yourself up to the mindset shifts, that you explore what your interests are and you learn how to modify and adapt that into your life in a way that's safe for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to not give up on your dreams and your hopes and the things that you've really wanted to do in your life just because you're having a time where you're experiencing a lot of pain, like just to remember that there's still life to live and that there's tools and people out there like Audrey and I that are here to help you and support you in getting to where you need to go. Like you're not alone. We can help you and we're here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And I think that's a lot of times what happens, right? Individuals that will sustain a really bad, accident. It alters their life in every way, as you and I know, right? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, vocationally.
Mm.
A lot of people have to give up what they're doing for work and try to redesign their life, their career. So what does that look like? But you're right, it's all about not giving up and not, staying true to who you are, your genuine, authentic self. Who are you? And not giving that up because you feel like you can't do something or someone's told you that it wouldn't be something you should do, right?
Mm.
I know for myself that after my accident, um, I went down the path of choosing a job that I thought would be the safe job, right? The job that was going to provide me the paycheck, provide me the benefits. It would create a sense of stability, but it didn't fulfill me. It didn't make me happy. And, we're vibrational beings, like you said, right? So that's an energy, a negative energy that's going to stick and it's going to resonate inside of you until someday you decide something's got to give and you'll want to make an active change. And that's really kind of what happened to me through my journey. I realized that unintentionally I started giving up on myself because I had this misconception, this misbelief that this was going to be as good as it gets, right? As a result of this accident, when really it's not. And I'm so glad that I took the time to connect with myself and free up any of that stuff that's holding me back, because that's where the real healing began. And things have just evolved from there. And I've seen it with so many other individuals. I'm sure you have too. You know, you and I both have stories of individuals that we've worked with that have overcome some unbelievable adversity, um, when they got to the place where they were more accepting, engaging in self-compassion, and truly committed to wanting something better and different for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, what I've found, you and I, case in point, have taken that adversity and then used our experience of moving through that adversity to create platforms to share with people ways in which they can do it too. You know, like you could use your accident as an excuse forever, but instead you've used it as fuel and as a way to make difference in people's lives, you know, and the reason I really got into yoga is because I was injured playing soccer and I was frustrated about that. I could have dwelled on that forever, but instead the thing that brought me back to health is what I've focused my intention on the last 15 years, and it's made a huge difference in other people's lives. And both you and I care about people. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing this, you know? And so I'm in admiration and awe of the work that you do and have done, and I'm inspired by you, and always am here to help you, Audrey, any way that I can. I
Oh,
appreciate you having me on your show too. Thank you.
ditto, absolutely. I feel the same way. I'm like forever grateful to you and Katie for being the place that I landed for that, you know. And I think, you know, there's gonna be it's a lot of things holistically can feel like a lot of trial and error, you know.
Sure.
You guys were not the first place that I went for a yoga experience, right? And so I think that's what helps too, is when you have some, or you have an experience that's so positive, you want to share that, and you guys will be connected forever as you know part of that community experience, and bring more people out to have fun with us and learn from that as well. You guys still do work with the schools? I think you guys were doing some work with some of the schools in the area, weren't you? With
Yeah, we
children?
do still do work with schools. It's a little bit different. Before 2020, we had a contract with the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, and I would go out and teach to auditoriums full of kids for every block of the day. So I would see every student at that school in a day and teach
Wow.
yoga to them. It was great. It was crazy fun, an amazing learning experience, just trying to kind of I don't know, herd the people into a place where they could actually listen. But it was really a neat experience. And now we do a lot of stuff with schools, but it's more like after school programs or, you know, like one-off things that they hire us to go do and work with kids. We have a great kids program at our studio, you know, so we're still working on getting back out into the community in that way because it was very impactful and we'd like to do more of it.
Yeah, no, I loved those stories and seeing the kids that they were so engaged. That was a lot of fun to watch you guys do that and see some of the videos and photographs from that. So, again, I feel like that just speaks volumes to no age is too young or too old for yoga, and you guys are bringing it out to the community on every level, all straight down to the little ones.
Straight down to the little ones. That's right.
Oh.
Well, and you know, like the little ones, like our little baby, he kind of teaches me yoga. I'm looking at him right now, and he's in the happy baby stage. You know, like all of a sudden he's like grabbing his feet and trying to put his foot in his mouth, and I'm like, oh, look at you doing more yoga than your daddy.
I think we need to see a video of you two doing that on the mat together. Little,
Okay, I actually have one. I'll get it to you. I think you'd like it. Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
I would.
It's for anybody, any age, you know. And you're
Yeah.
right, it's trial and error. I say like people definitely like should reach out to you and have them you teach them some yoga. That'd be good. And also like if you're thinking about getting involved with a yoga studio, private sessions are a really great way to start. Or you know, because you can get one-on-one attention from a teacher and they can break things down for you in a way where you maybe feel a little bit more comfortable going into a group session. That's kind of nice. And also, like, we offer beginners workshops, and I imagine like other studios in the area do too, where you can just jump in and kind of slowly start with the beginners workshop. Did you start with the beginners workshop?
I did the Awaken, right? Is that your beginner's
Well,
well,
Awaken is for beginners certainly, and but it's a longer period of time. Our beginners workshop are like 1 day, like couple hour things, but the Awaken program is amazing for beginners because you learn from the very beginning how to adapt your practice, and then through a 5 month period of time, you learn how to develop consistency in the practice. So I think it's an amazing one for beginners too.
yeah, I mean, it was for me. It was like a, whew, I'm in. We just
Yeah,
jumped in. We jumped in the deep side, man. We jumped in the deep side of the pool on that one, but it was amazing. It was the best 5 month journey. And I was impressed. I could not believe how much improvement I made with so many of my yoga poses just in that 5 months, you know. That was really exciting. I was really excited about that. But again, I love that. You've got one-to-one sessions you do, you've got, weekend workshops, you've got the Awaken program, which is like a 200-hour long, 5 month, intensive, but good for beginning as well. Really gives you super good core foundational um, practices and techniques and then you've got the retreats.
that's
So
right. We got the
I don't know.
sup yoga, we got the
Yeah,
retreats.
up yoga.
It's a lot of stuff, huh? We got a
I
lot of
know.
stuff going on.
You've been a little busy the last 15 years.
Yeah, geez. We have a podcast which is cool. It's called Play
Yeah.
Hard and Love Big Radio. And that's always pretty fun.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
I
And
mean, you're just breeding new yoga instructors. So as the business continues,
well, if there's one thing I've learned in the years is that yoga teachers come and yoga teachers go. So as a yoga studio owner, it's always important for us to continue to train teachers because before you know it, one will be moving on to something great. Like we have so many teachers who have been at our program and taught at our studio who've moved on or moved to different places, and they're all doing amazing things, you being one of them. Um, and that for me is so enriching and neat to see what comes of it, like the long-term impacts on the community.
yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And Bandit, by the way, is still alive. He's our namesake spotted dog, like we started talking about. He's 14. He's got a little limp. He's a little bit in pain, but he still gets going.
I hope I'll see him out on a paddleboard this summer. Bring him out. Bring him out. I want to see.
He's a doll. He's awesome. He's really neat. So, well, thanks, Audrey.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for your time today. And for everybody out there that has any questions, you can hit me up. Please reach out to Nick and the Spotted Dog family over in Folsom, California. We'll make sure that we drop your website and any other links that you want. We'll add that to the bottom of this recording and post.
Thank you.
And yeah. Anything else that I can throw out there for you, Nick?
Well, I mean, it's funny, I'll tell a funny story and then I'll be respectful of your time, but spottedDogYoga.com is our website. And what's interesting is that in the last year on our Google Analytics report, we've had over 700 people search us for puppy yoga, which is a big thing now, puppy
Oh,
yoga, like do yoga with the puppies but we, don't teach that at our studio, which is that we have dog yoga in our name. So people find us a lot, but it's funny because I thought, well, should we do puppy yoga? It's like this trending thing right now. Like, is this something that would be valuable for us to do? And like, how do we incorporate it in a way that makes sense? And we partnered with this really amazing organization 2 years ago called Hearts for Heroes USA. And Hearts for Heroes USA is a nonprofit organization based out of Folsom that trains therapy dogs and then places them in firehouses or police departments and then pays for the life of the dog in that police department or that fire department, which is like somewhere around like $70,000 for the life of the dog. And then they train the handlers to be with these dogs to help provide emotional therapy support for our first responders, which is really awesome. It's a cool
wow.
organization you should check out. But what we
Definitely.
decided to do is just one off events every quarter that are super fun, and they're called Yoga and Pups. And it's the dogs, these therapy dogs, which are hyperallergenic and they don't like pee and poop in the studio, and they're like super good dogs. So we do these events where you come do a yin yoga class, and which is pretty relaxed, and the dogs are there. And so maybe people would like to check that out as a way to kind of get themselves into something unique and cool too.
Okay, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. I mean, I've heard of goat yoga,
Yep.
but I'm a little fond of puppies, and so I'd be game for that. I'd be
Yeah,
game.
there you go. So
Yeah.
something else we're doing. We try everything. You just never know. We just want people to do more yoga some way, shape, or form.
Yes, yes, definitely. We've got Lucky here in the back.
Downward dog, Lucky.
He's like, yeah, no, we're not doing the yoga right now. We're just not.
We don't teach dogs yoga. Dogs teach us yoga, right?
Exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly. Oh, well, Nick, it's been so great. Big, huge hugs to you and the family.
Thank
And
you.
to everybody listening, you got to go check it out. I mean, there's so many different things that they offer over at Spotted Dog, and I highly, highly recommend it. So go check them out. We'll drop some links and see you in a class or a workshop sometime soon.
That'd be amazing. Thank you, Audrey. Congrats on your amazing business and the service you're providing.
Thanks, Nick. I look forward to staying in touch. I want to see the baby soon.
Yeah, that baby's cute.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nick. Bye.
Thanks, Audrey.
Bye, Nick.